The attack lasted only 27 minutes. But in those 27 minutes, an entire village vanished. What happened that night was never shown on national TV, and the world never truly understood the fear, the screams, or the silence that followed. Tonight, we tell the story they were too afraid to tell. It was a quiet Sunday evening in a small Christian village in southern Kaduna, a village where children played barefoot in the dust, where the church bell rang every morning at 6 a.m., and where people still believed that peace was something God would always protect. But at 11:42 p.m., that belief was shattered. A sudden hum of motorcycles, headlights off, engines low, shadows slipping through the darkness like ghosts. At first, no one noticed. The night was still. The moon hung low, and most families were already asleep, families who had no idea they had only minutes left. In the corner hut closest to the fields, a 12-year-old girl named Miriam woke up. She didn't know why. Maybe it was the sound of feet crunching quietly through dry leaves, or the soft metallic click of rifles being loaded. She peered through a crack in the mud wall, and what she saw made her heart stop. Men, dozens of them, moving in formation, faces covered, guns slung over their shoulders, torches ready to burn. She ran to her parents' room and whispered, "Mama, they're here." The first gunshot wasn't fired at person. It was fired into the sky, a signal. A wave of attackers spread through the village like a dark tide. Some kicked down doors. Others set homes on fire. Some went straight for the church, whose bells still hung quietly in the cold night air. People woke up to chaos. Shouts, crackling flames, the sound of children screaming for parents who were already running in opposite directions. Inside the church, Pastor Daniel, an elderly man who had served the village for 30 years, opened the doors to hide fleeing families. He knew what it meant. He knew that if the attackers found them, no one inside would survive. But he also knew this. The church was the only place with thick stone walls, the only place with a lock, the only place that gave the illusion of hope. So he gathered them inside. 31 people, mostly women, mostly children. He closed the heavy wooden doors, slid the iron latch shut, and whispered a prayer he wasn't sure God could hear over the gunfire. The attackers eventually reached the church. They banged on the doors, tried to break them, tried to burn them, but the walls held. So they stepped back, placed something at the foot of the doors, and lit a fuse. Inside, Pastor Daniel wrapped his arms around the nearest children, whispering, "Close your eyes." The explosion tore through the night, and then, silence. A silence so complete, so heavy, that it felt like the earth itself had stopped breathing. When the military arrived hours later, there was nothing left but ash, scattered belongings, and the smell of smoke drifting up to the morning sky. Only one person from inside the church survived. The little girl, Miriam. They found her under the collapsed stone altar, bleeding, shaking, and clutching a small wooden cross she refused to let go of. When they asked her what happened inside the church, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. She simply whispered, "The bells didn't ring this morning." In parts of Nigeria, stories like this are whispered, buried, or forgotten, not because they are untrue, but because there are too many of them. But every village burned, every church silenced, every family torn apart, is more than just a statistic. It's a story, a life, a community fighting to survive shadows the world rarely sees. And sometimes, the only survivors left are the ones who dare to remember. If you want to hear more untold stories like this, the ones the world forgets, the ones hidden in silence, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep these stories alive.